Welcome back to a day in the life of a Polynesian builder. Thanks for joining me today. I'm going to take you guys to the challenges that we have when it comes to building a rock solid foundation and just making sure that every step passes the quality control test. Now, when it comes to building a solid foundation for all this building, quality control is the best backbone, or quality control is the backbone of the entire process. To ensure that every layer, every material, every detail meets the highest standard. Without this, our building is in shaky ground, and that's a risk that myself or nobody out there afford to take. We all know a strong foundation is critical for the structural integrity of any building. It's not just concrete and rebar, it's the base that supports everything about it, above it, not about it. So we all know that the footing and foundation, a lot of weight, hundreds and thousands of pounds of material will sit on top of this. And that's why it's also, when we had our first video, that make sure that we have a solid ground for all of this to sit on top of it. Hey, it was raining outside, so I had to hurry up and come inside. But just to pick up where we left on, one of the biggest issue is when things aren't inspected properly. Things are rushed, things are skipped, and this can lead to some serious problem that slips through. Then there's using poor materials like weak concrete, rusted rebar. Most of our suppliers were so busy here in Utah, they don't bring any of rusted rebar, but those are the stuff we also need to check when they drop off our metal packet, which is the rebar. We need to check that. And all of this stuff can also lead to compromising the entire structure. I've seen homes that should have lasted for decades that starts to crack in just a few years. So you also get the problem when there's bad communication between teams, or when workers haven't been trained well enough, that makes a mistake like this happen. And mistake can cost us money and time. And those are the things we don't want. So it's very important. The backbone of an amazing footing and foundation is making sure we do our quality check. And here's how we make sure that our footing and foundation is super solid. Soil and compacting test. I talked on my last video of how important it is to get the geotech here and check our dirt. Rebar placement. Check with the proper spacing, coverage, and make sure that the tie wire, make sure they're all tied together. And another important thing is concrete testing for the slump, the air content, and the strength, especially here in Utah, where 3,500 to 4,000 PSI mix, it's super common. And double check, especially with our foreman, an elevation before we even pour. So this is some of and also clear communication between foreman, trade, and inspector, that everything is done. So when the truck is here, we're not rushing. And training our crew to know why these steps matters. Some of the typical footing and foundation detail here in Utah, we have to make sure, and everybody, little subcontractors out there and general contractor, that when we dig something, it's below 2 feet, depending on the frost depth. We use number 4, number 5 rebar, spacing the spaced and support correctly within at least 3 feet or 3 inches of concrete cover. Concrete mix is usually, like I said earlier, 3,500 to 4,000 PSI for residential foundation. And slumped is kept between 4 and 6 inches for optimal workability of the strength. So concrete here also run from about 120 to 150 per cubic yard. So we don't want to waste all of this in a bad board. That's why it's super important to get this thing done right the first time. All right, story time. Let's go back all the way back in 1988. I grew up in this little village watching my relatives, my uncle, and my dad do concrete work ever since then. And learning about concrete and playing around with concrete in a young age, all the way to this time of my life, I can see the progression or improvement as I go. Our village built a concrete road with one concrete mixer with a lot of the community come together to build the road, and I've seen it with my own two eyes, bags of concrete, and they thrown 6 buckets of dirt and then water, and I've seen that repeat that process hundreds of times to finish the whole road for the village. And it's amazing. It humbles myself to remind me, and is the reason why I'm excited when I came out here to learn the science about and what's behind concrete. So one day I can give back to my community, and maybe one day also I can go back home and help build the infrastructure and make it better the right way, and making sure that our structure back home can last a lifetime. And also going back to when I had my concrete company before I lost it, this is the steps I took, making sure that I follow every quality control step from the soil test to the concrete curing. No shortcut, no guessing. Especially in the commercial spectrum, a lot of this concrete are tested. They're required by the city or the state to test all of this stuff. And the result, a foundation that exceeded the code, passed every inspection, and stay rock solid years later. No cracks, no shift, and that's what happened when you build with pride. So, as our day is starting to end, quality is the unsung hero of construction. Without it, you risk safety, money, and your name. With it, you build something that will last for years to come, not only for yourself, but for your client and for the community you build. If you've learned something or a lesson on a job site, good or bad, drop it in the comment. Someone else might need it today or learn from it. Like I said in the beginning, the reason why I am the person who I am today is because of the mistake I've made through the past. And instead of ignoring it, I've learned from it. And don't forget to push that like button and comment and subscribe. And follow along with more real world lessons from your brother, the Polynesian Builder. You guys have a good day. See you guys on the next one.